Hello and welcome back everyone to a new episode of Loremaster Leveling, here with me, Sneaky Bot, and our Goblin Rogue Tafrona. In the last episode we finished our sojourn here in Ashenvale, where the Horde just finished taking up Silverwind Refuge, taking over Silverwind Refuge, taking over from the Night Elves. We still see the corpses of the fallen here, and in the distance, we also see the elemental fire lords burning down the forest. That all doesn't really concern us now, because we will be moving on to northern Stranglethorn Vale, though. And we shall be talking more about the trolls, their origin, and especially the Gurubashi Empire. We won't talk as much about the Amani, if at all, since that will be the topic of another episode. So we took the Hofstone here to Orgrimmar, so that from Orgrimmar we can take the Zeppelin to Northern Stranglethorn Vale. So for those of you who are newly joining us here, the Loremaster Leveling Let's Play series is basically me leveling a new character without heirlooms and talking about the lore and teasing it out of the zones that we visit. In a previous episode, we already talked about the common ancestry of trolls, and night elves. So, basically, and this depends on which race you belong to in game and where your favoritism lies outside of game. But basically, and I'm going to do the neutral version here, there's a proto-troll night elf, from which both trolls and night elves basically descended from. And these proto-trolls, in this case, we won't talk more about the night elves because we've already gone through their history. They settled in what was pre-shattering, basically the northern bit, or northeastern bit, and southeastern bit of Kalimdor, and formed two empires, the Gurubashi and the Amani Empire, which both survived the shattering in various different ways. Not completely unscathed, but I would say you could say they survived the shattering. And what happened there was that the Amani were more like sun trolls, no, forest trolls, and the Gurubashi were more like jungle trolls. And the Gurubashi were a caste type society where you had your priests, your warriors, your witch doctors. They didn't really have shamans, they had witch doctors. And also, because the Darkspear were part of the Gurubashi Empire, your shadow hunters. And they formed a loose alliance of various jungle troll tribes, such as the Splinter Tusk tribe, the Darkspear tribe, Gurubashi tribe, Sandalari tribe. And some of these tribes worshipped a being, not quite an old god, no, wrong example, not quite an old god, but a very powerful being called Hakar, the Soul Flayer. And they have made it their life's duty to bring Hakar back to the mortal realm. And in the end, the conflict between the worshippers of Hakar and the rest of the empire broke out into violent infighting, think Game of Thrones style stuff, and the empire crumbled to pieces. And most trolls went off into the jungles and survived as their own tribal entities. Before that, though, the Gurubashi Empire had arguably been the most powerful political entity that the Warcraft universe had seen prior to something like the Alliance of Men in the Second War. And one interesting thing that I didn't know before I started actually reading up a bit more of the trolls was that the Amani and the Gurubashi were, as one would assume, rivals, but they did work together for quite a long time in fighting the Akir insectoid empire. So the Akir suffix there tells you that it's a Kirai nation, and it's also what you'd call the first Kirai or Kiraj nation, because it's from there that the Azul Nerub and Ankiraj got their, not names, but their populace was from that empire, because they kept fighting against the trolls, and the trolls realized that they need to fight together against the Kiraj in order to survive. And evidently, if you know the Kiraj, you know that they are all about extinguishing all life forms that are not insectoids, so they're not very reasonable type of people, which meant that the battles were quite long and protracted. But the trolls could slow down their expansion to such an extent that these two kingdoms of Azul Nerub in Northrend and Ankiraj in the south of Kalimdor split off of that ancient kingdom and left it to crumble to ruins. So you could say the trolls were the first people who really managed to, unite a good defense against the Kiraj invasion. So where the Night Elves were more preoccupied with the Burning Legion, and this was a couple of 100 years in the future from what I just told you about, the trolls were already fighting their own war against the Kirai. But yeah, that is essentially how the Gurubashi Empire was established. First as a political union of various trolls that were subjected to by rule of the strongest to the will of the emperor, and then a political entity that needed to be kept together because of the Kiraj threat. Because we see, as soon as the Kiraj threat receded, all those political schisms within the Gurubashi Empire, for instance with the followers of Hakar, the Soul Flayer, bubbled up to surface and just ripped that empire right through the middle and destroyed it. I mean, the Sundering didn't quite help either, and the Burning Legion invasion and all that stuff, but from the point of having defeated Jakir, the Gurubashi Empire was pretty much on decline, and it hasn't really resurfaced as a powerful entity since then. We did have Zul'Gurub obviously as a raid in Vanilla, where we get to do more stuff regarding Hakar the Soul Flayer. Same in the Sunken Temple, and in Kata they also updated the troll storyline a bit and brought back Zul'Gurub as a regular instance. And we also see the Zandalari in Mist of Pandaria. So here we are at Gromgol base camp. I'll just briefly show you. Here you've got Zul'Gurub, and here you've got, where is it? There, Swamp of Sorrows, and here's the Sunken Temple. So this is actually a huge bit of land from basically all the way here to here. No, or here to where's Sunken Swamp? Here. That's all that the trolls ruled, and we know that they did some excursions, at least into Duskwood, because people kept talking about trolls as kind of like, yeah, they're a fairy tale to scare children, but they're kind of also super real. So, for instance, Medivh and not Varian, Lothar, and what's the Stormwind King that got killed by Garona? Also in the Warcraft movie, King Lane, something like that, talked about encountering trolls near Stranglethorn in Duskwood. Okay, so here we have some quests. So, defense of Gromgol Raptor Risk. So we need to destroy raptor eggs, which is where we also get a cute little raptor link from that serves as the introduction to a lot of the quests surrounding this area, and also a lot of the stories surrounding Zul'Gurub, which is why I made this huge intro expose about trolls, so that we have all the information that we need in order to understand some of the stuff that goes on, and that way we are able to do this in a much more in-depth way, since I don't have to repeat all that key information all the time, but I can just assume that you know it, or if you do not know it, I can just say go watch this episode and you will have all the knowledge that you need. Here we have one lash-tailed raptor not completely satisfied with us taking care of these eggs. It's a shame that we don't have an AoE on our rogue, but the nostalgic part of me, the good nostalgic part, in the last couple of episodes we did talk about good and bad nostalgia, does think that it's kind of quaint and nice to have an old school rogue who barely has any AoE at all. So here we have our hatchling that I was talking about, whom we need to bring to Farseer Mokthardin at Grongol base camp to see what we can do about him, since he's very clearly just interested in following us around, basically having the duck effect, I assume. First thing you see after you're out of your egg, that's your mom. So yeah, now we're in charge of this raptor hatchling, or lashtail hatchling. Let's see what the good shaman says that we should do about him. But first, let's turn in the raptor risk quest.
Strength and honor.
Keep up the good work, rogue. Hellscream's eyes are upon you. Yes, very ominous. Okay, welcome to Gromgol, rogue. Before we get off on the wrong foot, I'll have you know that I won't have slackers in my base camp. I expect a healthy goblin like you to pull your own weight around here. Didn't they tell you that we goblins are healthy slackers? We are healthy goblins, but that only makes us healthy slackers. Okay, ogre oppression. When we first arrived in this jungle, we did not intend to wage war on the local tribes. Our mission to supply stone art, which is in the Swamps of Sorrows near Sunken Temple and the Blasted Lands, is of the highest priority, but complications have arisen. A local band of ogres has occupied the Mijja ruins to the southeast of Gromgol. Despite warnings, they continue to ambush our supply caravans. I'm putting you in charge of dealing with these uncooperative ogres. Travel to the ruins and attempt to drive them from the area. At the very least, it will send a firm message. Alright, and Murloc Menace. Oh dear, there's Alliance coming in. Let's hope that they do not kill us. They did kill poor old Marquez though. Schneef. Alright, this is probably the end of us. Don't go killing us, please. A night elf monk. So, Merkil Murlocs have been pushed out of the ocean by the salt scale Murloc, so they make their refuge in the Kal-Ai ruins to the northeast. This was acceptable in the past, but no longer. Separated from the sea, the Merkils have grown restlessly, and they send their foragers to attack my supply caravans. Send them a message. This behavior will not be tolerated by Hellscream's horde. Ah, I see. So we are basically trying to make sure that the supplies to Stonard go as intended. Stonard being the first big settlement of orcs on Azeroth, as they came in through the Dark Portal, which back then looked very much like the Swamps of Sorrows, but now is called the Blasted Lands due to everything being blasted by what essentially amounted to something like a nuclear bomb. Okay, a Lashtail Hatchling. Oh, those were nice Alliance PvP guys. They didn't kill my quest givers, nor me. Yes, this little one seems to have taken a liking to you. Suppose that one raptor alone and raised among orcs is much less deadly than a whole pack of them. Keep her, Tafaruna. She may come in handy. In fact... ... It looks like your young raptor is hungry. If you're looking to keep her, why don't you find something for her to eat? The Lashtail often attack the camp of Merkil Murlocs just to our north. It's as if you knew that we had to go kill Merkil Murlocs. She probably isn't strong enough to hunt on her own yet, but I'm sure she will eat freshly killed Murloc meat.
Victory!
Well, let's go there and kill them then. So here we go. Off from this crazy base camp that is getting attacked by the Alliance. And onwards to kill Murlocs. Murlocs, of course, the bane of any low level or even mid level and beginning WoW player, as they always came in packs. Nowadays a bit easier to deal with, but still very much iconic of WoW. Nobody really knows much of the origin of Murlocs, since they don't have a cool origin story like the Naga. Maybe there's some small goblinoid or gnomish race that got twisted by the same old god that twisted the Naga, and they just turned out to be Murlocs. Murlocs are not known for any engineering though, so that might be a problem with the theory. Oh, I'm thinking about different Murlocs, aren't I? There's Murlocs up there, but actually what it wants us to do is go to the Murlocs in the ruins. So once again, I am going off through the world without looking at my map as to where to find my quests. So I'm going somewhere completely different. But there were Murlocs where I was going to. Everyone who knows this zone probably knows which Murlocs I'm thinking about, but those were probably not of the tribe that we were supposed to kill them off. So here we can see these are much more to our liking. Come on, Shadow Step. Whee! Such a nice ability, Shadow Step. I really do like how responsive it is and how nice it just feels when you press Shadow Step. You just instantly appear. When you're in range, you appear by the enemy, and then you can start attacking, and you get that nice boost of speed. Let's just use our shuriken here. There we go. You were killed, and now I can stab you. Oh, you poisoned me.
I don't have a target.
There we go. Let's get loot.
It's too far away.
Alright. We are bleeding and we are poisoned. Let's heal up. We do have a healing ability after all.
I'm out of range.
There we go. We need to kill a bit more Murlocs.
It's too far
At
away.
least for the meat. I think you get something like 3 bites of meat out of every Murloc. So we need to kill 8 more for the quest, and that should also give us enough for
I'm out of range
to feed our raptor here. Let's get some health back and just throw the shuriken. Oh, we are both ranged. I wonder, you're doing 10% health
I don't have a target.
to us with your pole, which means the way that was going, if we made it into a ranged duel, you would have won. So we attacked you in melee. There we go. Let's Shadow Step and stun. Because we have low health after all, we try to rectify this with our Crimson Vial ability. Alright.
I need to get closer.
Now let's do a ranged duel. No? You're a forager, so apparently you don't do ranged.
I don't have a target.
That's good. Good. So yeah, these ruins, as you can see from the architecture as well, are old troll ruins. So abandoned at some time, probably during the political upheaval that caused the fall of the Gurubashi Empire. Just abandoned, and often because trolls were a very mystical people, you can still find latent magical energies, fetishes, and that sort of stuff lying around, which tends to either be used in nefarious rituals that corrupt the race that found them, or just it's all sorts of trouble in other ways. Alright. Oh dear. We pulled Mercury Coldbringer. Are you not going to eat that? No, apparently you're finished eating. So we have finished that quest now. Now let's go into stealth. And one other great thing about Shadow Step is that it is only a teleport, so you can use it to teleport to enemies, and then you can just continue running, and you get a movement speed boost. So yeah, but that was it for this episode. Doesn't Argus look amazing on this jungle sky? I think it does. But yeah, that was it for the episode. I will see you in the next one. As always, my name's been Sneaky Bard. If you did like this episode, do consider giving me a like. Do comment on any questions or just general feedback that you have. That's what the comment section is for. Also, remember to subscribe if you like the channel or the Let's Play series in general. I mean, I don't put it as a condition that you need to know what all the stuff that the channel does for subscribe. Just if you like what I do, subscribe. And do remember to share word regarding the channel with your friends, colleagues, family, anyone interested. Thank you. I hope to see you in the next episode. I'll see you then. Bye bye.